Well, hello and welcome to episode 41. I know I've mentioned this before that women hate men, but they tolerate us simply because they have to. They have no choice. But remember, women are superior to men in many ways. And in past videos, they've stated that a woman's brain is more well rounded than a man's. And to sum up this concept, the claim is that the two hemispheres of a woman's brain talk to each other more than a man's do. Or in more sophisticated terms, they are more bilaterally symmetrical than men's. And note that only women can bear children, and that has never changed. Also, I don't think too many men can walk around on high heels. I know that I can, and especially walking up and down stairs. If I wore high heels and had to walk downstairs, I'd tumble over like a ton of bricks and most likely would break my neck. Although I have to admit, there are more and more men today walking around with high heels, so that's progress for those men. And again, I neglected to add a few more male vocalists that I overlooked on my favorite list. I know I'm getting a little carried away with this. That being David Pack, Mark Farner, Marvin Jr., Jay Black, Dion DiMucci, Les McCann, Maurice White, Phil Collins, Robin Gibb, and Richard Page, and also two female vocalists that I neglected to add were Cass Elliot and Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and Papas. I heard that Fox News did a historical story on how the Byzantine era affected and diminished the Roman Empire's expansion, and that, of course, they blamed that on Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I made that up, of course, but everything that happens in the world now is Joe or Kamala's fault, according to Fox News. I always have to maintain a to-do list so as to prevent from forgetting something that I need to do. And I'm now getting so absent-minded that I tend to forget where that list is, and also so forgetful that I might have already mentioned this in one of my prior videos. Gertrude Stein, the writer, wrote that there are many that I know, and they know it. They are all of them repeating, and I hear it. I love it, and I tell it. I love, and now I will write it. This is now a history of my love of it. I hear it, I love it, and I write it. They repeat it, they live it, and I see it and I hear it. They live it, I hear it, and I see it, and I love it, and now and always I will write it. I can't believe this was what she wrote. There are many kinds of men and women, and I know it. They repeat it, and I hear it, and I love it. This is now a history of the way they do it. This is now a history of the way I love it. I like her version of her life with all of these people that she's met and loved. I can identify with it, and I love it. Someone on YouTube mentioned that Steely Dan is not actually a band, it's an aesthetic. And this is true, I agree. There were basically two guys, Donald Fagen, who is still alive, and Walter Becker, who passed in 2017. They used, I would guess, since I could not find an estimate for this number, perhaps close to 75 to 100 different studio musicians in all of their recordings. And they were such perfectionists, some critics considered them to be the most precise, anal, and demanding of their studio musicians. And they were known to go through 8 or 10 different soloists, be it horns, guitars, drums, keyboards, or vocals. And I read about one studio session where they were working on 2 words on a vocal track on the song Home at Last for nearly 6 hours. That's some crazy shit. And there are some musicians and vocalists who eventually bailed on certain sessions due to the stress and demands. And lastly, I sampled some of the outtakes, which are songs that were never released on an album or CD. And as usual, the songs are marvelous. And they're made of such quality that you can't believe that they never made the album. But enough of Steely Dan. Yeah, I've been drinking alcohol since I was 13. The reason being that my father worked for a beer distributor, so there was plenty of beer in the house, and he would occasionally let me sneak a few sips. And it was kind of cool getting a little buzz at that age. And hey, it worked to my advantage. I learned how to control my drinking and have never become an alcoholic. But it sucks now because at 68, alcohol intake has to be limited since drinking at my age is not particularly good. I hate reality. I've noticed a major trend on YouTube lately, and I really enjoyed seeing this. The Righteous Brothers, 2 superb vocalists, Bill Medley and Bobby Hatfield from the 1960s through around the 1980s, are definitely trending as folks from around the world, especially blacks who have discovered their vocal talents, and will listen to either Unchained Melody or You've Lost That Loving Feeling or Just Once in My Life or soul and inspiration. And as they're listening, they will stop the song, look into the camera, and be at a loss for words, especially the women. And many of the black folks will say, these guys are 25-year-olds at the time, of course, and they're white. What the hell? These two dudes could wail like no one else in the world. Trust me, and if you doubt it, listen to any of these songs I mentioned before, or just search for them on YouTube and you'll know what I mean. They were the perfect duet, and no one can sing like these guys could. Talk about soul and inspiration. My wife and I met back in 1984, and it's strange how that's the title of a notorious book, defined as a dystopian social science fiction and cautionary tale of the world that has fallen victim to perpetual war, government surveillance, and propaganda. Well, you get the idea. It sounds like our marriage, and I'll stop here.